Okay. As we wait, right after I start the podcast, and he leaves. He drops out of the call.
And you said my sound. And you said my sound is good.
Yeah, you're good, dude.
Okay.
We'll wait for Ronnie to get back in here. And
I suppose I should go grab the comic book. I don't feel like it. I don't
if
feel like
you
getting
want
off
to, I want you to read it to me. Actually, we're going to read it verbatim tonight. I hope you're awake enough for that.
Yeah.
What's up, Ronnie Adams?
Go away.
Let me know when you're ready there, Mark.
Guardian Devil.
I'll tell you right now, I'm a fan of Quesada. I've been a fan of Joe Quesada's for a while. His art style, I mean, I've heard people criticize him on the network for stuff, but, you know.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, I've got the book in front of me now.
Good deal. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Source Material. This is episode 100 and... Did I put 129 or 130 at the beginning of this? I can't remember. I think...
Yep.
Did I put 129?
I don't know.
Okay. Ronnie Adams has no idea. His corn dogs are done.
Sorry?
Ding, fries are done. Ding, fries are done. Ding, fries are done. Would you like an apple pie with that? Would you like
Meant to catch that before it went off, just to avoid this moment.
Yes. Well, I can tell you it's episode 130. I may have titled it on YouTube incorrectly because me and Ronnie Adams did episode 129 yesterday.
Yes.
And that dropped today on Monday. I'm doing all this pre-recording stuff, messes with a man's head, doesn't know what episode he's on, doesn't know what shows he's covering. I have no idea. Comic books, this, that. Hey, am I on the Metal Hammer of Doom? I don't know. I'm so confused. I am Jesse Starcher. Welcome to the podcast. We're going to be discussing a fun book tonight. And with me, as always, my good friend, the co-host, I would say, of Source Material. His name is Ronnie Adams from the Screaming Boy Podcast. How you doing, sir?
Hello. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. I hope your corn dogs do not burn your mouth. Take it slow. Take it slow. Take it slow.
Mustard on them. Gauge
with your lips. As who was it? Who would say they would donkey lip it? You need. Oh, this is. I'm thinking of some YouTube stuff there. But donkey lip it first.
Something completely different than anything I've ever been on.
Oh man! And the main man himself, the patriarch of the Rattleitch Broadcasting Network. He is currently on issue 2 of the story we're talking about right now, and he's so excited to discuss everything about Daredevil, Guardian Devil. His name is Mark Rattleitch. How are you doing this evening?
This book is too wordy. It has too many words in it.
Books should be pictures only.
More pictures, less words.
Oh, wow. Well, okay.
Hey, look, you're lucky. Look, you're just lucky I didn't throw up all over both of you tonight.
Yes, we do appreciate that. It is early in the evening, so...
Corn dogs are done now.
As he sets the corn dogs to the side. We are doing this book in conjunction. Oh boy, that's a
good Lord.
That's a good start. That's actually Mark's full review of this comic book. One big yawn.
Too many words.
But tonight we are doing this story in conjunction with a celebration of the recent release of, oh man, what is it called? It's The Defenders,
The Defenders, right? Jesus.
Hey, what did you say that like 5 minutes ago? You expect me to remember?
The Defenders.
The Defenders released on Netflix.
It was a little late on that.
This past Friday. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're kind of celebrating with doing a... Man, I'm going to say celebrating like 5 more times tonight.
This is bullshit. Okay, here's what really happened.
All right, here we go.
We were supposed to do an entire week of just Daredevil stuff because I thought it would be fun to do the Daredevil soundtrack on the Metal Hammer of Doom. But there's way too much stuff. There's way too much stuff to do in the Metal Hammer of Doom, and I was like, we need that week for other things. So I tore down Daredevil week. Well, then, as it happens, I had already bought the Daredevil book, Guardian Devil, number one. Number two, we had nothing for Defenders Week because there was no Defenders book that had been out long enough for me to be interested in. I mean, I think there's a Defenders book that's out there, but nothing that was in trade paperback, nothing that I particularly wanted to talk about. So I was like, okay, well, why don't we take half of what was Daredevil Week and we'll apply it to the Defenders, and we'll do the regular scheduled Metal Hammer of Doom like we were supposed to do, and that'll just be that. That's the real reason we're doing this book, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let Jesse Starcher fool you. It has nothing to do with shit, except for the fact that I wanted to do yet another gimmick week, and then decided not to, and then decided to keep half of it.
Yes. Okay. I couldn't have said it better myself. So
I kind of want to do the Metal Hammer of Doom with the Daredevil soundtrack.
That was on the plate, and we were kind of excited about it. But we've got other ventures and other albums we need to cover. So it's probably
horrible bands to cover.
What's that last band we covered, Mark Radulich?
That'd be Ronnie Adams' favorite band, Goat Whore.
People are going to believe you.
We say it so many times. I mean, dude, I don't know how many podcasts you listen to, but you've come up on it on the past week of a lot.
We're now saying it on other shows.
Sweet God, no.
Oh, man. Well,
it's now not just Goat Whore. It's Ronnie Adams' favorite band, Goat Whore.
We've officially changed the title. Ronnie, I think you're responsible for why we chose this one, because we were throwing out good Daredevil stories that we would like to cover.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Ronnie suggested this one. Ronnie, give us your give us your reasoning.
Kevin Smith wrote it.
Okay. All right. You're a fan of Kevin Smith, right?
Yeah, it's widely regarded as like a really good Daredevil book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a Kevin Smith fan. He is particularly fond of Daredevil, I think. Wrote the foreword to the awful movie with Ben Affleck, which I'll defend in some points.
Mm-hmm.
But he did the foreword to that because he and Ben Affleck are buddies.
So will Sean Comer this Thursday on trial.
That's right.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then that was my basic reasoning for it.
Okay. All right. So you're a fan of Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if this was his first venture into comics. I don't think it was.
I know no.
He's been a comic book fan for quite a while, but
mm-hmm.
I wish I had taken the time to look up when his first actual Big Two written venture was. I don't know. I know that he's done Green Arrow, but that was 2001. This book that we're talking about tonight came out in 1998, and it was the first issue of what the Daredevil title was in the Marvel Knights run. Now, Marvel Knights was a little bit, I don't know if it became the Max series, but it was more of an edgier title for Marvel. That's where, when you saw Marvel Knights, you knew that it was kind of edgier, more. I would say there's a little bit more realism. The heavier issues are talked about usually in those titles.
Throwing babies off buildings.
Oh my gosh.
Attempting suicide.
Yes.
Realism.
Those are things that happen in this book. And we're not talking about the villains either. That's what's crazy. So anyway, so it's Kevin Smith. Our art tonight, Joe Quesada, which is I've always loved the art by Quesada's. I can remember him doing some Ninjak for Valiant Universe back in the early 90s. And seeing him go over to Marvel was pretty cool. So he is the one that did the art for this. And we have Jimmy, I think it's Jimmy Palmiotti. I want to say it's Jimmy. He's the inker. And those two go together. When usually you see both of their names on the front, it's going to look like a fantastic book. So I have no qualms. Already, I'll tell you, I have no qualms about the art because I knew what I was getting into here. So we have Kevin Smith, Joe Quesada, Jimmy Palmiotti, 1998. We're getting into Daredevil, Guardian Devil. Before we proceed, anybody else have anything else to discuss?
This was his first non-Askew-niverse, View Askew
Is it?
universe. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So he wrote this in 99. And then he got Spider-Man Black Cat, The Evil That Men Do, and Daredevil Bullseye the Target, which were both 2002.
Okay.
He kind of dumped both of those, or dumped the Daredevil after issue 3, and delayed it.
Okay.
And then he went on to a guest writer of Black Cat, Amazing Spider-Man, to about mid 2002. What else did he do?
I know he did Green Arrow for DC.
Yeah, he wrote Batman Cacophony.
Okay.
Another Batman series, mini-series. I'm looking. I can't find when he wrote Green Arrow.
I got 2001 because I just looked at the issues a couple days ago. I've got them sitting right here. At least he started on it, and that's widely regarded as well.
Yeah, I viewed right over. No, I've read those, and they're actually really good.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but he's been a comic book fan since he was a kid. He sold his comic book collection, his personal collection, to fund Clerks. Maxed out his credit cards, took out personal loans, took loans out from friends and family, and then sold his comic books. And then one of the first things he did was when Clerks was a success and he made money off of it, is he bought Clerks was not a critical or a box office success, whatever. But when he started making money off of his movies, he went back and bought all these comic books back.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling that story before. So that's actually really cool. I mean, you got a guy who loves comics. He's getting in here. I mean, I've actually talked to writers who never got into comics until they were like in their late 20s, early 30s. And that's actually starting to pick up a comic at that point. So that speaks a lot. So he obviously didn't, you said he loved Daredevil. That was something that he wanted to get his hands on and write.
I think so. Yes. Yeah. So
here we go. We got Guardian Devil, and I'm going to do the first 2 issues, or first 2. Then I'll turn it over to myself to bring up a talking point. Issues 3 and 4 will be Mark. 5, 6, and 7 will be Ronnie, and then we'll close it out with 8. We're going to try and get out of here less than the time that it took us to read it, which shouldn't be too hard.
That won't be too hard at all.
No. As if you couldn't tell, ladies and gentlemen, this is a wordy tome. It has a lot of dialogue, inner dialogue, outer dialogue. I mean, when you have somebody that's like Joe Quesada doing art, I would rather let that man shine than the letterer who has all the fun time sitting there inking out all the discussion that happens within the book. It's covering up most of the panels, although some of the art is in there and it's beautiful. But all right, let's get into it. First 2 issues. So we get our introduction to Daredevil. He's having some issues and a crisis of faith after his beloved Karen Page has left him. Yes, those 2 were in a relationship, and she has left him, and he's obviously upset about it. Now, a young girl and her baby are on the run from some thugs. All right. Now, Daredevil kind of picks this up. He can hear it happening out in the city. Now, when I think she finds like an alley, and she's enlightened by a vision of angels to tell her, take the baby to the law offices of Matt Murdock and leave the baby in the care of the man there, Matt Murdock. In other words, leave it with Daredevil. And the angel tells this girl that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. And supposedly this man will protect the child, who the mother, who states she is a virgin, believes her child will be the Messiah in 30 years. All right, so let me break that down for you again. Girl's on the run from thugs, hides in an alley, falls asleep, wakes to a vision of these angels that say, "Hey, take the baby to Daredevil." In other words, Matt Murdock, leave the baby there in his care. Now she believes she believes that the child will be the Messiah in 30 years, and then when she shows up, gives Matt the baby. At the end of the issue 1, she leaves without a trace, and Matt Murdock's there holding this little baby. Now, of course, Matt's trying to figure out how to take care of the kid, and during the day, he is visited by an older gentleman by the name of Mr. McCabe. Mr. McCabe walks in and he says, he knows all about it. He knows all about what's going on with the baby, and he says the baby's the Antichrist.
Okay, I was pronouncing it Maccabee, by the way.
Maccabee. All right, whatever. That sounds good to me. We'll do Maccabee.
I wasn't going to say anything.
How was McCabe? Maccabee?
Yeah.
Maccabee,
yeah.
All right. So Mr. Maccabee says the baby's the Antichrist, and you need to give that baby over to me. We need to kill it. Maccabee then tells
Isn't that how it goes with like most babies, though? Is that after you bring it home, after a few sleepless nights, you're just like, it's the Antichrist, and we have to kill it.
Oh yeah, the first 7 years at least. That's that's a guarantee. You wonder, what have I brought upon this world? Now, Maccabee, you ready to be a father, Ronnie Adams?
Apparently not.
Just play some goat whore and it'll be fine.
Oh yeah, go right to sleep.
No.
Maccabee serves a force of nature by the name of Sheol that's watched over and helped. This is according to Maccabee here. Sheol's watched over humanity and helped it develop. And Maccabee warns Marduk that if he continues to care for this baby, it's going to do nothing but bring misfortune to him and those he loves. Now, the mom who last we saw straight up just disappeared and left Matt with the baby, the mom ends up getting captured. Now, Daredevil ends up heading back home with the baby that he left in the care with one Black Widow. And he believes this is a really intense scene. I mean, near the end of issue 2, he's talking to Black Widow. I think they're on top of the rooftop, and he's clearly believing what Maccabee has said, to the point where he takes the baby and throws it off of the roof.
That comes later. That's like issue 4.
That's issue 4?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I flipped through it because like you assigned me these different ones to do.
Yeah.
And hang on. I should talk into the microphone. Let
me go to my issue here real quick and just make sure.
Matt throws the baby off the building. Yeah, this is issue 4.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Hold on. Let me go to issue 2 here.
Yeah, because then he brings it to the nun, and I believe it's at the end of this issue that Bullseye. No, it's not.
Let me fast forward down here towards the end.
Oh yeah, it's at the end of this issue that Mr. Maccabee hires Bullseye to deal with Daredevil, and then issue 5 is when he takes it to Doctor Strange.
What did I do? Why are my notes so messed up?
I don't know.
Because this is the part where
there are two different rooftop confrontations with Black Widow. There's an earlier confrontation where they're just talking, but the one where he throws the baby off the roof because he's fucking on ill hallucinogens, that's issue 4.
I've got it in issue 2 here, man, because he's sitting here talking to Natasha.
Well, I say it's issue 4.
All right. If you got it in front of you, I'm looking at it as well. And now, granted, I'm looking at a digital translation. So
I mean, I'm looking at it through the trade paperback, and it says like before that issue number 4. Let's not do this again. I mean, these are numbered.
Yeah, I'm legitimately looking at issue 2. He throws the kid off the roof. Natasha goes to save it, and then he's sitting there, and she takes off with the baby. Then we have the Uptown Brownstone of Lydia McKenzie is the next page.
Yep. Mine is issue 2.
Now, are you looking at the same digital thing I am?
Yeah,
you are. So they may have like redid this, but well, okay.
A man came to me today He knew things about the child. Said it was a harbinger of end times, and you believed him. He knew I was Daredevil, and so did the
Okay.
girl you said. Yeah, it said so. It all happens in the span of a day.
No, I've got it where she's got the baby, and the next thing is Foggy and Lydia, and the next thing is Karen shows up on Matt's doorstep,
Okay.
and
Now,
then we're into issue number 3.
Okay, hold on. Stop.
Yeah, I've got the
You-
exact same thing right after he chucks the baby off the rooftop.
you said
No,
she's
he
got.
doesn't chuck the baby. Look,
Mark, chill a second, because I'm looking at the daggone comic book. He throws the baby off the roof.
Now,
No.
hold on.
No,
I'm sending you
Hold on.
screenshots.
No, hold on. Okay, so you're looking. Find the spot where she has where Natasha has the baby, and she's like cradling it.
Hang on, listen, you nits. It says Stan Lee presents Daredevil in Guardian Devil Part 4, The Devil's Distaff. Okay? Your mother, I forgot, apologize, Matthew. What happened? You were almost mowed down by a very large truck is what happened. Lucky for you, I was swinging by this time. The aim is to have a street named after you, dearest, not to be mashed into the asphalt. All right, words. Hold on. Words.
Hold on. Where you're at is where Daredevil escapes the. I'm glad we can edit this all afterwards. But where you're at is where. That's where Daredevil escapes that big white room with that nasty looking guy. He jumps out of the window, and then he lands in the street, and he's about to get hit by a truck. And that's the end of like issue, according to my notes,
3.
That's issue
3.
No, hold on now.
3.
Hold on. Yes,
3?
yes, you're right. I had to look at my notes just to double check. That's issue 3. And then issue 4 is where he's rescued by Black Widow. But
okay.
Go back.
And then now turn a few pages. There's Matt. He looks kind of weird. And okay, so I look back on my life. It's littered with lies. Women have told me lies that have blackened my soul. Well, it's time to deliver a lesson in truth. And truth is pain. And I look at her already unconscious, such as a minimal pain threshold. No wonder she couldn't lead the Avengers. So much, so wrong. In such a short time, it all comes back to you. It can end as quickly as it started. I can make it all right again. No one to save you this time, little beast. And he fucking jumps off him and the baby jump off the roof.
Okay, now.
So you're missing something because
this is the second time. That's the second time he went off the roof.
Is issue 2 where he throws the baby off the roof.
And Natasha like jumps off and goes, "What are you, crazy?" and saves the baby and then goes off.
I just sent you 4 or 5 screenshots of it in the messenger.
I didn't look.
Take a look and see if you remember any of those pages.
No, all right, let me go back.
Okay.
Let me go back.
Because the second time he goes off the roof, he jumps with the kid. And he's going to kill himself. The first time he like chucks the kid off the roof. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second, man. This isn't Matt Murdock. Something really got to him.
Okay, yeah. Try this one. And that's right. Okay, I apologize. He does throw the baby.
Okay,
he does throw the baby off the roof, and Black Widow goes after it.
It's not uncommon for if somebody does a digital rip of a book that they may misplace some pages. So... Good.
I really thought you were going to say it's not uncommon for someone to throw a baby off a roof.
Well, it depends on where you live.
I'm sorry. I fucked up.
We got you back, Mark. We got you back.
I'm just glad two instances of baby throwing off roofs.
Yeah. This kid, Daredevil has tried to kill this kid twice. 2 times quick. Daredevil heads back home after getting the baby he left in the care with Natasha. Meets Natasha on the roof. Believes he clearly believes what Maccabee is saying, and where he goes and grabs the kid, and in front of Natasha, he throws the kid off the roof. And Black Widow looks at him like I said, "Are you crazy?" And then jumps after the kid. And the only reason that kid lives is because Black Widow's able to save it. And they, of course, leave. And this leaves Matt to ponder, well, what the hell did I just do? And, of course, this is street-level stuff. This guy has to deal with – he's already dealing with his Catholic guilt, which gets mentioned a couple times in here. But, he's starting to have to deal with the supernatural. Somebody comes to him and says, yeah, that kid, by the way, the kid that you're taking care of, yeah, that's the Antichrist. And he's got somebody else saying that she delivered him as a virgin and that he's the Messiah. So his head's all screwed up. Where in the world is he coming from? Now, at the end of issue 2, as he goes in, he hears a knock at the door. The door opens, and there is Karen Page, who's visibly upset. And she lets Matt Murdock know that she has AIDS.
You've got AIDS. You've got AIDS.
Huh.
I assume that's a Family Guy. Am I right? All right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Nailed it. All right. Well, I get the first 2 talking point here, and I mean, easily we've kind of already discussed it. He threw a kid off a damn roof. I mean,
Mark,
when you were reading this, Ronnie Adams, what was your initial reaction?
he chucked the baby off a roof.
I mean, did you feel for Matt Murdock in any way here?
Yeah, I mean, Smith always goes for the spiritual side of things, whether you believe it or not. I mean, whether not always, but he dives into that.
One of my favorite movies by Kevin Smith is Dogma.
Dogma.
Yeah.
Since he made Dogma, he was raised as a devout Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was, the Catholic school, the whole nine. And so he's got that background in religion and all that good stuff. But so I knew that this was going to be, particularly this hero would hit home for him because Matt Murdock is a devout Catholic.
Yeah.
And so, he kind of brought out the spiritual side of Matt Murdock, whether he would, let his common sense get the better of him, or whether he would fall into that ruse of, the kid's the Antichrist, and he didn't even know what sex the kid is, gender.
Yeah,
because they're one and no. Shut up, Ronnie. But
you were gonna say it's clearly a girl, weren't you?
And she's not. She doesn't identify as a boy. She is a girl. But that went over like a fart.
Was that supposed to be a transgender joke?
That went over like a fart in church.
That was terrible.
You shut your
face. Boo, Ronnie Adams.
This is why I don't like coming on shows with him. Actually, I do like it. But anyway, so it's an interesting concept to see Matt Murdock let that side of him come out so much that he would believe such a an incredible
crazy. Yeah. I mean, I would say
story like that.
Yeah.
But 2 people come in, he has no clue who they are, and they say, "Oh, by the way, we know that you're Daredevil." And he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
So
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. So instead of searching for some answers in the earthly, he goes completely off of what we're used to. Daredevil goes into the spiritual and throws a kid off the roof.
Mm-hmm. You do.
Well, you know what I mean. He goes crazy and throws a kid off a roof.
Like you do.
What do you think, Mark, of the big reveal with Karen at the end of issue 2 that
she's got AIDS?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Sing it.
I mean, what I kept thinking throughout this whole thing? I was like, is this like an Elseworld tale? In the main continuity of Daredevil, were they really a couple? Did she really have AIDS? Did she really, when Bullseye kills her later on in the series, does she really die? Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
I kept wondering how much of this, and then it's hard to even say main continuity now, seeing as we're in the post Secret Wars era where everything is all fucked it up. But I that's kind of what I focused on.
Okay.
Not even so much the Look, I don't have a whole big connection to Karen Page, and I barely have a connection to Daredevil. All right, who's eating chips?
The fuck?
Not me. I messaged you all offline about the clicks and whirs and crackles in somebody's microphone, and then I sent the screenshots of the comic, and Mr. Mark Radledge doesn't want to be wrong, so he doesn't check it.
Wait, I don't understand where the chips come in. Where do the chips come in? Did you message about the chips?
No, I don't know where these noises are coming from.
So you just decide to add to it. You're not helping the situation.
I didn't do the chips.
Someone's eating potato chips.
All right.
Oh no.
Whatever.
I'm going to bed.
All right. Let's get back on track here. We got to finish this.
Have there been a lot of sound effects throughout this?
There have been some clicking and whirs, but again, nothing that we
like
can't get past, right, Ronnie Adams?
Is it like is it the same sort of thing from when we did the
yes.
the cancer Q&A?
Yeah.
All right, then it's my new microphone, and I don't know why it's doing that, folks. I apologize.
You're like I said, it's nothing that we can't deal with here. It's not horrible. So, all right. So Karen Page has AIDS. I mean, Matt Murdock trying to be a daddy.
You've got AIDS.
There we go.
It's crazy stuff. Daredevil tossing babies off of roofs. And let's one more question before we get to issue 3 and 4. Kevin Smith's writing was very daunting for me at probably by page 3. Kevin Smith writes a tale, and I know I've already said that.
Kevin Smith needs editing.
Yeah. Kevin Smith is a wordy man. Even with his that was a door. I did that.
Okay.
Are you eating chips again?
No. I wasn't eating chips the first time. But
sure.
So his screenplays or his treatments are usually like screenplays and things like that are only supposed to be like 80 pages long.
Oh no.
And his are all out scripts. Like he describes everything to a T, the whole nine. They're like, wait, this is not how it's supposed to be. And he's like, don't tell me, it's it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you go by the death of Superman or whatever happened to the death of Superman, they actually talk about how his treatment for the Superman Live script was like not professional at all.
Ooh. Okay. Well,
I just hit my dog in the face. Sorry.
Nice. Good job.
Buddy.
Was the dog eating chips?
Listen. I'm coming to Florida.
I wish I could title this "Who Ate the Chips."
Who ate the chips? but when you the thing you have to remember about Kevin Smith is I've watched most of his stuff that he does on his public speaking things. His Q&As and all that. Because I'm a big fan. And I remember one of them. He has Evening Kevin Smith, an Evening with Kevin Smith 2, Evening Harder. And then like 3 or 4 more. And one of them, it wasn't the first 2, I don't think, but one of them, somebody came up and asked a question, and he spent like an hour telling story to answer that one question.
Oh, geez.
So like legitimately like 45 minutes or something like that. And so he's got a lot on his mind, apparently, that, when you let him go, he's going to get it out there. Mm-hmm. Mark is right. He does need somebody to help him rein it in, in a lot of different, a lot of aspects.
Yeah. So I'm used to Kevin Smith on like movie fights, Screen Junkies movie fights. And it's like him and Max Landis both don't know when to stop talking.
Yeah, it's true. And I don't think he was like that until he started like smoking marijuana regularly. So
blame it on the green leaf.
I mean, I'm serious, but no. I mean, while he's got wonderful things to say, he really does. I enjoy all of his movies and
does he?
Comic book. Mark, you listen to Goat Horror, so I don't want to hear you. But I believe that he has great things to say because I am a fan. Most of the time he has good things to say. he just has a roundabout way of saying them. And when I say roundabout, he goes, there's a point A to B. He goes all the way to Z and makes his way back to B.
Mm-hmm.
So,
look, I'm not in total disagreement with Ronnie as much as I'm making jokes and I'm cracking wise.
Right.
But, I mean, he tends to babble, and I don't always think he has something of value to say. I also sometimes think that his opinions are like there's no discernible taste. Like if you listen to his like Fat Man on Batman podcast, which I stopped listening to because everything was great. It was like there were certain things that were really good in the past 2 years, movie-wise, but I just feel like he would go out of his way to give something a positive review.
Yeah.
Not that I think that he was doing it purposefully because he's an industry guy, but it sometimes came across that way. And it was like, all right, Kevin, everything isn't wonderful. Everything.
I don't think it's so much that he's an industry guy either. And I agree with you. Everything is wonderful according to him. I just think he's that big of a hippie at points to where he thinks everything is wonderful.
He's the character from the Lego movie. Everything is awesome.
It's true.
Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
And I think they were
awesome.
smoking.
I'm smoking that green. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I think they were smoking copious amounts of marijuana as well. And just to make up for everything sucking in life. No, but I listened to Smodcast, and so a lot of everything on there, everything's great, unless everybody in the world agrees that it's terrible, like Westboro Baptist Church or things like that. So he's
what a brave opinion,
right? You know what I mean?
Well,
racism is bad. Oh, Kevin, you brave soul, you.
Now, did you watch Ronnie Adams as you kind of went through this again for all the nods to the Kevin Smith universe? Like, you could tell he was slipping in. I think somebody had like a newspaper or something, and on the back it was a review of something, and it had the names of like all the guys from Comic Book Man. I recognize all.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But there were little nods to his kind of universe every once in a while put in throughout
to his people. Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead. We'll move forward here with issues 3 and 4. So the last issue, at the beginning of or at the end of last issue, issue 2, Foggy, our best friend of Matt Murdock, ended up sleeping with a client, cheating on his girlfriend Liz Osborne, right? I think is who he is hanging out with. Now, it turns out that this person is a demon. And when she turns over after they do the deed and looks at Foggy, she then leaps out the window, killing herself. And the people on the ground see that it's just this lady who jumped out of a window, and they are blaming Foggy for possibly murdering her. So he goes to jail.
I can't tell you how many of my dates ended that way. Waka waka.
They look at you, and was it just they immediately regretted?
What have I done? And dive out the window.
It's the whole demon part.
I've lost another one, and the one bites the dust.
But clearly the supernatural continues as we, now Foggy's sleeping with a demon. She goes and kills herself, and now Foggy gets fingered for the murder. Now heading back.
Really, you couldn't just let that one go by.
Sorry about that one. Now heading back to his firm, Matt Murdock consults with Foggy's mother, who's now said, "Okay, look, we're restricting all resources to even help defend Foggy. I don't know what her problem is, but she doesn't want the name of the firm sullied by the fact that they may attempt to defend her own son from this murder that potentially happened." And Maccabee ends up finding Karen, at Matt's house. And he starts again about the baby and what the baby is going to possibly do. And Maccabee's trying to convince Karen that if she kills the child, she can save herself and those she loves. So you got that little bit going on. Now, Daredevil is ambushed during a patrol of the city, and he's taken to a secret hideout. And this time, some huge-looking, ape-looking guy talks to Daredevil about the kid again. And his name's Baal, by the way. B-A-A-L. And
Bale.
Bale?
Or no, yeah.
Bale? Ball?
Beowulf.
Beowulf. All right. Bale.
Yeah,
we'll
Bale.
go with Bale. I'll go with that. I'm all right with that. 2 A's make a long A. I'm perfectly fine with that. So Bale says, no, look, I represent an agency that wants to protect the child. It's going to be the Messiah. Now, Daredevil's, Matt's head is spinning enough already. And he's finally able to escape this white room that he was captured in. But disoriented, the issue leaves us as Daredevil is in the middle of the street about to get hit by an oncoming truck. Okay? Then at the start of issue 4, we find out that Daredevil's rescued by Black Widow. Now, Matt Murdock still believes the baby is causing all this grief that's going on about him. Karen's got AIDS. Now Foggy's in jail.
You've got AIDS.
Foggy's in jail. And Matt's going off the deep end. And after...
and so's that baby.
Yes, it is. And this time, after incapacitating, I think he breaks Black Widow's ankle because she could tell he had a crazy look on his face and was going after the baby. She tries to kick him. He breaks her ankle, grabs the baby, and then jumps off of the building with the baby in his arms with the intent of killing himself and the baby. Yeah, things are getting crazy. Before he reaches the ground, he finally realizes what he's doing, and he's able to stop himself before hitting the ground. He stumbles with the child and falls into the arms of his mother, who is a nun at the church. After recuperating, they have a talk about faith. Karen ends up showing up and asks Matt Murdock where the baby is. And Matt starts to figure out something's kind of hinky because Matt Murdock didn't say anything to Karen about the baby that was under his care. So something's amiss. And we find out that there's been this dark figure in the shadows throughout these issues that's been responsible for kind of chasing the mother of this child. And finally, we get the reveal of who that black shadowy figure is. And it's none other than, that's right, Maccabee. This guy is a nefarious ne'er-do-well who's after the child. And they have just brought in one person that may be able, who's the best person to possibly get to Daredevil and the baby. And that is none other than where we leave issue 4. That's right, the assassin, Bullseye. So there you go. Issues 3 and 4 encapsulated right there. Mark Radulich, I think I gave you the honors here. What did you what did you want to talk about that we can cover it again? He threw a baby off the roof. What do you guys think?
For the second time.
Yeah, sorry. Fucked up. I mean, at this point, I'm suspicious that, and it turns out that I'm right. I am suspicious as a reader that our hero, there's something wrong with him. He is not acting of his own accord. He is either drugged or under hypnosis or extreme stress. There's something not quite right about what's happening here. I'm also suspicious about our villain character, Mr. Maccabee. I said, we don't have all the clues just yet, and we'll find out more as time goes on. But yeah, I think one of my issues with Guardian Devil overall is that it's a little slow.
It is 8 issues, man. 8 issues of decompressed storytelling that, yeah, I think there's some cliffhangers in the issues, but I mean, you need to entice me to make me continue to read.
I was going to say, I feel like this could have been done in 6 issues. We could have lost 2 here and tightened up the story a bit and, edit down Mr. fucking Kevin Smith and his wordiness. Because I feel like a lot of this was just, like, if you read some of the old Stan Lee, Jack Kirby comics, they too were quite wordy. Not as wordy as this, and the books themselves weren't as long. But they would just go on forever explaining things or having the characters with this inner monologue that seemed to take up the entire page. And it was like, all right, let's move this along here. But overall, this is where we start to get into some of the meat of the story. Mr. Maccabee, you get the sense, especially in retrospect, that he's kind of the devil, and that he's sort of pushing people to make terrible decisions like throw babies off roofs or consider the fact that the baby is the Antichrist and they're the reason they have AIDS. So it's, you've got AIDS. So it's interesting. The thing with Foggy, that was kind of random and seemingly out of place. But, overall, it's still an interesting story so far, even if it's a little long in the tooth.
Okay. Ronnie Adams, anything you'd like to add?
If you notice that at the end of the book, when the big Daredevil reveal, or Daredevil, the big Bullseye reveal, where did my book go? There it goes. Bullseye is reading Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
And then you look at the back of the book, and that's where the comic book men, shout outs, says classic, Brian Johnson, awesome, Walt Flanagan, these are reviews. The Spellbinding Tale, Scott Mosier. Too many words, man. Jay.
Of course.
And then just a bunch of dots, and it's Bob.
Yes, it might be a meta review of what we're actually reading right now.
Right. Too many words, man. But, I think we can all agree on that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But, you all hit the nail on the head with that. The whole Foggy sleeping with a demon thing just came out of nowhere. And it seemed a bit forced, just to get him involved in the storyline. In my opinion, it was one of those things where it was like, did that really need to be in there? I understand the Karen Page thing because he uses that against her by saying this disease is going to affect the evil is going to affect those in your life and the ones you love, and she's like, the ones I love, oh God, Matt, I may have infected him with AIDS. I miss Mark right now, but but the whole Foggy thing was kind of where did it come from? And
it's probably
just to get him involved, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. By the way, our last quote there on the back of Catcher in the Rye. Can you read that?
It's all dots, and it's by Bob.
No. Oh, it is. Yes, it is. Silent Bob.
Silent Bob.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Not giving any reviews on the books.
No, I guess not. All right, well, let's go ahead. We'll hop in to the issues 5, 6, and 7. So I'm going to do my best to kind of rocket through these, do a synopsis here. Let me go ahead and pull that up on the old, we'll do issue 5. Bring up the front page of that on here. There we go. I wish I could get this thing zoomed down a little bit. Actually, you know what? I probably could. Well, I'm not going to mess with it. Here you go. You got Matt Murdock with the baby on the back, cover of issue 5. All right. Ding fries are done, ladies and gentlemen. The corn dogs needed reheated.
Actually, no, that was I better go check on the oven. It's toaster oven. Is that
All right. Issues 4, 5, and 6. All right, so Daredevil. Like I said, he wants to figure out. This is 5, 6, and 7. My bad, folks. Issues 5, 6, and 7. So Daredevil's he's kind of starting to figure out something hinky's going on. Obviously, all this religious stuff is popping up around him. So he decides the one person he knows could probably at least give him some answers is Doctor Strange. So we get a visit from Daredevil to Doctor Strange, and he's trying to figure out this business with the baby and Sheol, if you will. We find that Matt Murdock was unwittingly and unknowingly drugged which may have led him to believe Maccabee that much more. Doctor.
Oh shit! Daredevil's on some ill hallucinogens.
What? And Doctor Strange.
What show am I on?
Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange casts some kind of crazy spell that fixes that. Karen Page laments her situation with Matt Murdock. Now, Doctor Strange, we just kind of cut back to that. But Doctor Strange summons Mephisto to confirm the kid as a savior, and we find that the child is not. Mephisto's words lead Matt Murdock to believe that the child and the people he left her with, his mom, by the way, at the convent, may be in danger. And sure enough, he immediately leaves, and when he arrives at the church, Bullseye has already been there, and he's waiting. Karen Page is also secretly waiting there as well, looking for the baby. Bullseye finds her and is able to secure the baby, and then when Bullseye decides that he's going to return Daredevil his club, he had gotten it through the fight, which, by the way, he's kicking the crap out of Daredevil, but he decides he's going to give Daredevil back his club in his signature Bullseye way by throwing it at him with killing swiftness. And in an act of selflessness, Karen Page steps right in front of the Billy Club and is impaled by Daredevil's own weapon and dies.
You dummy! You dummy!
She dies in Matt Murdock's arms. So that right there is the death of Karen Page. Then we go to issue 6, and we open up with Matt Murdock, a gun in his hand, and he's about ready to kill himself. He's flashing back through his head. Believe it or not, that's how you flash back. And he's able to. This is the part where I was thankful that Kevin Smith kind of backed off. He let the art tell the story, because Kevin Smith didn't write much dialogue here at all during the time, other than the flashback scenes. When Daredevil's about to kill himself, it's all pretty much just wordless panels, which is great. No inner monologue other than just the flashback every once in a while at the pages. But he remembers the words from Karen Page where she tells him, "Don't ever stop being Daredevil." So he puts the gun down, gets himself back up, and he goes to visit Turk. Now, Turk's a recurring character. I think he's been in the show and obviously in the comic for a while. He's always like the guy Daredevil goes to find information out about the underworld. He's somewhat of a criminal usually, but he finds Turk, and he asks him, "Look, Bullseye's been here. I just encountered him. Who's hired him?" Daredevil puts 2 and 2 together and finds out it's Maccabee. Now, almost dying in an elevator after he gets to Maccabee's place, he is actually rescued by Bale, who says he is Daredevil's guardian angel. He tells Daredevil that Maccabee has the baby, but can't kill it until midnight. But there's something wrong. Daredevil senses something is not right with Bale. And he comes to the conclusion and confirms that he is indeed a human dressed up in a big scary suit. Yeah, I didn't see that coming, but hey, there it is. So the things just aren't what they seem. I don't know if anybody out there is catching on as to these crazy events, and maybe have a guess as to who our main villain may be in league with. Well, he goes through a few more things that he has to deal with, and he finally reaches the final room. He reaches the room and confronts Maccabee, who's shedding his disguise. We find out it's the Master of Illusion. That's right, Mysterio. Bum, bum, bum.
Can we just say that Marvel writers, depending on Mysterio as a sort of trope, where Mysterio tricks you into like killing your family or killing the X-Men or throwing a baby off a roof, is getting a bit tiresome.
Now, Mark, listen. Remember, this is 1998, almost 20 years ago. Okay? You gotta give that some thought. Okay. Because, yeah, it's been done, and plus, this issue 7 that we're about to go through, that didn't. I don't know if that held water in the regular Marvel universe. If Marvel Knights even had any connection with the regular Marvel universe.
I'm just saying. I don't know how many times Mysterio has been the reason. But I'm going to start singing instead of Suddenly Zemo, Suddenly Mysterio. If I have to read any more stories where it's, the whole reason this entire thing happened is because Mysterio, my God, in the entire run of Spider-Man, he wasn't this good. And in 2 different stories, he's managed to convince one guy to throw a baby off a roof twice and nearly kill himself.
Mysterio. That should be.
And
like
in another one,
he needed a baby thrown off a roof. I'm your guy.
And then in another story, he convinces Wolverine to kill all of the X-Men.
Oh, that's
every
right.
last one of them.
Yeah, that was Old Man Logan. Oh, wow.
Right.
Well,
so I'm just saying.
Okay. All right. I got you. So issue 7 hits, and we get we got our big reveal. Mysterio's the big bad here. Mysterio explains to Daredevil that the baby's in danger, but breaking in here to this final room.
Suddenly Mysterio
God.
standing beside you. You don't have to worry.
I used to like Little Shop of Horrors, but now
not.
You should be on the Damn You Hollywoods where Robert Winfrey and I break into Suddenly Zemo.
Oh,
Suddenly Zemo.
So Mysterio, he's about to get his butt whooped by Daredevil, but he says, no, wait. You can't do that because the baby's in another room and there's a timer. You got 5 minutes. So instead of beating him senseless, why don't you go and find the baby and rescue the baby? Mysterio tells Daredevil during this time why he chose Daredevil and what led him here. So we get this backstory about what led Mysterio to this exact moment in time. Why Daredevil? So Mysterio at one point was diagnosed with a brain tumor and lung cancer. And the doctor said, you have 1 year to live. His mission was go out in a blaze of glory against his most hated foe, Spider-Man. But remember, this is the 90s, ladies and gentlemen, late 90s. This was not his Spider-Man. He could not defeat this Spider-Man because it wasn't the Spider-Man he continually battled before then. This was a clone, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that's right. The Clone Saga had an effect on this story. So
the Clone Saga has effect on a lot of things.
Oh, yes. So instead of setting his sights on this fake Spider-Man, he instead aims at Daredevil. And after remembering a previous encounter, he asks none other than the kingpin of crime himself, Wilson Fisk, for some info on Daredevil. And he ends up getting everything that the kingpin has. And then at that time, he decides to go to work. Now, Gwyneth, which wasn't Ben Affleck dating Gwyneth Paltrow at this point in time?
About this time, probably.
You mean Jennifer Garner?
No, wasn't Affleck and Gwyneth Paltrow a thing too?
No.
Yeah.
No.
We obviously
they were
have
in
a
movie
divide.
together.
They were in. Jennifer Garner was the one that played Elektra in Daredevil.
Yeah, but hold on, I'm looking it up. We gotta have a confirmation here.
Oh, he only throws the baby off the roof once.
No, you're going to be wrong 2 times on this podcast, Mark Radlich. Gwyneth Paltrow, this is July 21st, 2016. Gwyneth Paltrow dishes on exes Ben Affleck and Brad Pitt. Ha! So, yes, they were a thing. Now, as to what time frame, I don't know. But anyway, the point is, Kevin Smith decided the name of the mother, what's the word for that? The Immaculate Conception. The girl that had the Immaculate Conception with the supposed savior baby here. Her name's Gwyneth. But anyway, Mysterio says, hey, look, yeah, Gwyneth, the reason why she thinks that she was a virgin, or she gave a virgin birth, was because we actually artificially inseminated her. Even her visions were a creation of Mysterio, the visions of the angel.
Yeah,
And
this is where you get the Clue ending with like, and this is how it could have happened. You know, Colonel Mustard and Professor Plum.
we get the big reveals.
I like that movie.
Lydia, which is the girl that Foggy had slept with. Sure enough, Mysterio was responsible for that as well. Just another chip off, a chip into the armor that is Daredevil to kind of try and push him over the edge. And Karen Page was actually led to believe that she had AIDS. Mysterio, donned a white smock, pretended to be a doctor, and sure enough, tricked Karen Page into thinking that she had AIDS.
You've got AIDS.
I think that's how he revealed it. He sung it to her.
That's how it's handled in the medical community. By the way.
Oh yeah, that's in all the books. They teach that in college. In the 8 years of college, and that's what I get. You've got AIDS. All right, so Mysterio says, "No, Daredevil. I tell you what. Why don't you go ahead, kill me now? I'm a dead man." But of course, Daredevil says, "Nope. Better than that," and he walks away. He instead makes Mysterio realize that this grand plan was a poor copy of things that have come before. He's just a sad Xerox, I think, is something like that. Daredevil ends up finding the baby, and immediately Mysterio grabs a gun and says, now, quote, I wrote this down verbatim, "You're not going to want to miss this, Daredevil. I don't know who's going to derive more satisfaction out of this, me or you, because I stole this one too from Craven." And then he blows his own brains out.
And I'm pretty sure Daredevil just shrugged it off. Like, meh.
It's like, I couldn't throw you from a building at least? Nope. All right, so there's 5, 6, and 7. So we are... Well, Ronnie Adams, this was your book. I wanted you to kind of take us out here. What you think of our epic conclusion?
I didn't see Mysterio coming at all. I mean, I don't.
I'm right there with you. This is my first.
Suddenly Mysterio.
This is my first time I've read the book, and the big twist ending with Mysterio. Wow.
Yeah, and I've always wondered why Mysterio wasn't a little more powerful. You know, so I'm all in favor of guest writers or whatever taking him. And and actually making him to be a little more, pardon the pun, sinister, because he's part of the Sinister Six. A little more sinister than what he really, than what he's been played up in the past. In the past, he's just been full of, I don't know. I guess you could say he's just been, a trickster and a shyster and everything. And this one, he actually is evil. He made somebody believe that that a baby was the Antichrist and he'd throw it off a building. And then he tricked. He didn't even use any of his gases or anything like that. He just put on a simple disguise and said,
"Well, no,
I'm sorry."
He did make the one cross laced with a hallucinogen, which just worked out the ball rolling.
No, right. That's for Daredevil. I'm talking about Karen Page. He didn't really do anything like crazy like that.
Karen's clearly an idiot who's easily manipulated.
Well, hey, she had a sordid past. I mean, that's kind of covered here, which I didn't know much about Karen Page. I didn't read Daredevil as a kid, so I didn't know much of the story that went on with Karen Page. But she was a drug addict, and she was apparently pretty promiscuous during that period of time as well. So that's alluded to in the book. So, that diagnosis or whatever, when they come to her and told her that, I mean, she probably believed every word. So. Right.
And so I dug it. I mean, I was like, heck yes. But when he shot himself at the end, I was like, well, this might be a one-off or something like that. Or he made Daredevil believe he shot himself. He's Mysterio, of course. Yeah. Things like that. But I really, 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 I mean, this was something because he's not a Daredevil villain. He's not in Daredevil's, quote unquote, Rose Gallery. You never would have thought, you never saw that coming. So that's the big thing for me in these issues that it was Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
And me being a Spider-Man fan, that to see one of his arch nemesis show up and do the and wreak havoc on another hero was really cool.
Yeah, it went to some pretty crazy lengths. That's for sure. Mysterio took it to the nth level. Mark Rowlich, I mean, what do you think, man?
I mean, you're asking me what I thought of the book overall. I thought it was fine. I think, like
Give me
I said,
words, man.
Yeah, I just felt like it was a bit dense as far as the script went. I felt like they could have again killed 2 issues of this thing and tighten up the story, tighten up the dialogue. I think you can get to the same place a little bit quicker and a little bit better. But overall, I thought it was. I mean, overall, the story is Mysterio convinces Daredevil, unbeknownst to Daredevil, that this baby is the Antichrist. His whole world falls apart. And at the end, Daredevil sort of figures it all out, and then the villain, in a last-ditch effort to try to overpower Daredevil with his one real weakness, Catholic guilt, shoots himself. All right. I mean, it's a dark tale, but it's a fine tale. I just felt like it took a little too long to get there. And the other thing I was thinking about was, I love the part that when he goes to Doctor Strange, though I was like, "Hey, demon, yes."
Just carried on a conversation.
Is Jesus coming back? Not in this form. Thanks, demon.
Yeah.
A little weird, but I would have thought, why not bring the baby too? Have Doctor Strange run the PKE meter over him, figure out if he's a ghost. Whatever Doctor Strange does. I just it's weird that he only brought the one little talisman that got checked out and it turns out was toxic, but doesn't do anything with the baby.
Yeah.
Which the whole thing is about. And you would have thought that he would have brought the baby to Doctor Strange too and be like, "Hey, tell me if this baby is the Antichrist or not."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, our last issue is kind of just a real wrap-up issue. I don't have a whole lot of notes on it. I mean, we have issue 8 is the funeral for Karen Page. Foggy has to deal with his own infidelity. He's luckily cleared of the crime because Mysterio had detailed files of what he was going to do in order to commit what he did. Spider-Man gets the lowdown on what happened with Mysterio from Daredevil. Daredevil lets Black Widow in on what happened as well. She advises him to come to peace with himself. And Matt Murdock catches up with Mom at the hospital with the baby, and they decide at that point in time to name the baby Karen. So that was our wrap-up issue for issue 8.
I actually really liked the conversation between Daredevil and Black Widow about how a lot, you might have been on some ill hallucinogens, but hallucinogens just don't make people do things. They sort of give people a nudge in a direction they were already leaning.
Yeah.
And that a lot of what drove Daredevil to behave the way that he was his animosity towards women. His frustrations and everything else with Karen and Typhoid Mary and Elektra and Black Widow. And I was like, that's cool. That's probably the coolest part of the book for me, was that acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm. Ronnie, anything else you'd like to say in regards to the book overall, or any other points you'd like to make?
I think what helped me get through it was the art.
Okay.
To get through all the words and everything, because it was actually, the book was really fun to look at. I mean, because the art was in the art.
It was. I remember now. I was going to tell you guys a story, and I'll make it quick as possible. I already know I kind of mentioned it there, but I want to make sure I get this in podcast form because I want one of these days Golden Age Dave is going to listen to a podcast I do.
Hey, before you get into this, let me go ahead and sign off because I'm getting kind of tired.
Sure, man. Go ahead.
But I think I've said all I'm going to need to say about this book. So check out TV Party tonight, The Defenders tomorrow night, Tuesday, on the Rattle Engine Broadcasting Network. And then Thursday, On Trial, the Ben Affleck Daredevil. I'm prosecuting Sean's. Sean is defending. So that ought to be fun. Guys, thanks for having me on. I'm going to bug out.
All right, take care of yourself, man. We'll talk to you
Later,
soon.
buddy.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Mark Radulich signing off. All right. So, anyway, Golden Age Dave. Okay. Now here's the thing, Ronnie Adams. Good old Golden Age Dave. We became friends in college. I think I've mentioned him before on here.
Oh, yeah. Maybe once or twice.
Yeah. And, okay, so in college, we would sit there and we'd talk about comics. I was still buying stuff at the time, and I'd bring stuff to college and read at the dorm, whatever. And every once in a while, Dave would come in and he'd pick up an issue and he'd look at it. And I mean, legitimately within 5 minutes, you can read a comic in 5 minutes. Don't get me wrong. But within 5 minutes, maybe less, he would put it down. And I would say, did you read the comic, man? Did you read what happened in there? And he'd be like, oh, yeah, I did. I said, okay, so this goes on for like months. I'd see him do this. And, apart from saying, okay, BS, man, come on, tell me the truth. Finally, I grilled him enough on it, and he's like, well, I look at the pictures, and when it looks like there's something exciting, then I start to read the words. Now, I don't think that's his religious way of reading a comic book, but
Right.
that's what I would finally figured out. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because this book turned me into Golden Age Dave for a few minutes. This book would make me go, okay, there are a inordinate amount of words on this page. I need to take my time and read them. No, you don't. It's 11:30. It's 12 o'clock. You need to go to bed. You can skip around just a little bit. So I would do that.
That's understandable.
Daredevil standing alone in a room looking down. Okay, all inner monologue. I doubt there's anything completely important that I need to cover here. There's Bullseye and Daredevil going at it. I'm going to read.
Right.
That's so I identified with Golden Ages Davis. Golden Ages Dave and his reading method. But all right. So anyway, granted there were a lot of words, but I'll tell you this. One thing I do give this comic book credit for, and that is at the end, it would always keep you interested. All right. This is 1998. They're doing a great job with the cliffhanger. Okay, let's see what happens next. And then you kind of read, and it'd be a slog at the beginning, but then things kind of got interesting. And at the end, you had bam. Oh, crap. Daredevil's about to get hit by a truck. Oh, crap. Karen Page has got AIDS. There are a lot of oh, crap moments. But anyway, so I enjoyed it. I mean, overall, I would probably recommend this to somebody. It's definitely a top Daredevil story, in my opinion. I can't say that I know
absolutely
too many off the top of my head that are really like, oh yeah, you got to read this. This is up there in my opinion. I mean, can you think of any other ones? Excuse me, off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, because I'd really have to dig into some Daredevil. I like Daredevil.
We're talking like, okay, what was the other one? What was the Frank Miller one?
Man Without Fear.
Yeah, that's a good one. We covered that one here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't think of any other really great ones off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a few, but go ahead.
I've read Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
I like Daredevil, but I never really read Daredevil.
Okay.
I never stopped and really sat down. I can't say that I collected Daredevil like I collected Invincible.
Yeah.
Things like that. So it's, while I enjoy Daredevil immensely, I can't say that I, got that into it.
Well, one of the things that the comic books have kind of going against them is the fact that writing teams and creative teams switch a lot on a title. So when you're talking Kirkman and Invincible, well, you don't have somebody subbing in for Kirkman. You've got Kirkman and Invincible.
Right.
Daredevil has Kevin Smith for just a little bit, and then he probably goes away and somebody else takes over the writing. I did want to read here real quick from the Wikipedia on Marvel Knights, because I mentioned something about it possibly being an offshoot of this, an alternate universe possibly, but it's not. Okay. Mm-hmm. So our history here This is 1998 Marvel Comics. This is right at the beginning here. What we're reading. Marvel Comics actually filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy that year, and they asked Quesada to work for Marvel in a more exclusive capacity, and contracted him and his Event Comics partners to produce a line of Marvel books dubbed Marvel Knights. As editor of Marvel Knights, Quesada worked on a number of low-profile characters such as Daredevil, Punisher, the Inhumans, and Black Panther. He encouraged experimentation and using his contacts in the independent comics world to bring in creators such as David W. Mack, Mike Oeming, Brian Michael Bendis, Garth Ennis, and Steve Dillon. Quesada himself also illustrated a Daredevil story written by film director Kevin Smith. I wonder what that one is. Marvel Knights stepped away from the long-running story arcs and heavy focus on continuity that was a prime feature of Marvel Comics during this period. Instead, the imprint focused on strong standalone stories and high production qualities. So
yeah,
I think I agree with, just like they said, Mark kind of criticized this for being too long of a story, but when you compare it to some of the way longer continuity that was out there at Marvel Comics in '98, things were fitting into other stories, and if you didn't have this issue, you kind of missed out on what was going on in this issue of X-Men and X-Factor or whatever.
Right.
So it was a neat
crossovers for days.
Oh yeah. It was a neat concept, and I think it kind of set the tone for some things that happened more frequently in the future. We definitely get the 3 or 4 issue story arcs or the 6 issue story arcs that happen in comics a lot. Now, that's kind of
Marvel Knights was always really, good storytelling. Now that I think about it, because I think of all these books that I did read that I remember now that were Marvel Knights. It was impressive. I'm like, oh yeah, no wonder I like that.
They said, well, there's a term that's thrown around that is called writing for the trade. Writing for the trade, and this would be something sense. Yeah, this would be something that I would see easily written for the trade, so you can sell that trade paperback and do the story that way. So
be done with it.
Yep. All right, man. Well, let's go ahead and close up shop here. That was our coverage here on the Rattleichin Broadcasting Network for Daredevil, Guardian Devil. And let's go ahead. We'll get into plugs. I'm going to stop my sharing. There we go. Let's go ahead and get into plugs. Ronnie Adams.
Yes, sir.
What you got plug, buddy?
We do a show called the Stream Boy Podcast where we are nerd culture, pop culture, nerd culture kind of thing going on. We have not been able to record recently. So Mr. Mark Radulich has let us so kindly take over the live spot on Friday nights. So we thank him for that. So we are part of the Radulich Broadcasting family on Friday nights, where we have done most recently Power Rangers versus Voltron and some sort of military something or other. And then we just have a lot of fun. So we've got that going on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. You can catch our old recorded stuff on iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn, and right here at the Radulich Broadcasting Network. And then we also have any kind of social media possible, which is right here on Facebook. You can search Scream Boy Podcast. We're on Twitter, which is at Scream Boy PR, and then you can find us on Instagram at Scream Boy Podcast. So there we are. I think that's everything.
Good. Awesome. Well, as for I haven't heard that in a while. As for myself, my name is Jesse Starcher. You can follow me at Stiznarkey on Twitter. You can find the show's Twitter at SourceMacCast. Go give that Rattleich in Broadcasting Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. Source Material just released an episode Monday, August 14th, and that was me and Ronnie Adams discussing a what-if story titled, What If Aunt May Had Died Instead of Uncle Ben? And
yeah,
I say we had a pretty good discussion on that. It was
Yeah.
a fun discussion. It's neat to discuss what might have been in the Marvel Universe, just how things could have went down.
You and I are big fans of the what if stories
Mhm.
anyway. And I remember we've done several what if stories together here.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always cool to dive into that other universe in the Marvel, dive into the other side of the Marvel universe of stories like that. So this one, on the other hand, you just gotta listen to it to find out what we thought about it. So I'm not gonna give anything away.
We have mixed reviews, we'll say, and there was fun discussion topics, and we did a little criticism, just like we do right here on the Source Material Podcast.
Yeah.
So looking at it though, you know
that was the Source Material Podcast.
That's right, it was. It was.
Jesse Starcher, man of 17 different podcasts.
Oh, dude, keeping them straight. I'm telling you, it's tough to do. You know what I realized I should have did, and I should have done? I should have did done. Done did.
You done did it.
I should have done did. After putting the episode up on the network, I titled it, episode 129. I should have freaking done
130.
No. I should have done Amazing Spider-Man 129.
Oh, man.
First appearance of Punisher. That would have been brilliant.
Should have done that.
That's all right. That's all right. I don't know if I've actually completely read that issue. I know I've seen it. I've seen bits and pieces. I do have the what if Punisher had killed Spider-Man. That's a fun read.
That one doesn't turn out good for anybody, does it?
It's been a while since I read it, so but yeah. Well, that's all right. That's something to look forward to in the future. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you want to check that out, and we have, like I said, this is episode 130 that you're listening to right now. There are 129 episodes of stuff that occurred prior to this. If you want to hear about the JLA versus the Predator, which apparently is
nobody wants to hear about that.
Apparently, it's the most popular episode, one of the most popular episodes out there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say nobody wants to hear about it. Nobody wants to read it.
There you go.
They'd rather have you tell them about it.
That's right. That's right. Sorry. Let me get this out of the way. There you go.
You and Radledge.
I tell you, man. So I'm looking at the numbers. There you go. I'm looking at the numbers.
It's infectious. Mm-hmm.
There's our two top podcasts are actually one listen away from each other. Number one is the Flash episode where we did Flashpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is still Irredeemable Ant-Man. I don't know why that one.
Because it was awesome.
It was fun. It was a fun podcast. But, when you compare, was it Eric O'Grady?
Yeah.
Ant-Man. Which is so obscure. It just feels
awful
is.
Superhero.
It's so obscure. But, dude, it's right up there, just about to take over the number one spot. So anyway, 129 episodes prior to this one, ladies and gentlemen. If there's got to be something out there to tickle your fancy, you want to learn about, you don't want to read about, maybe you don't have the comics, you'd like to hear us tell you what happens. That's what we're here for. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what else to talk about other than I'm ready to go to bed, as if you couldn't tell. I look forward to our next episode. Mark Radledge, did he say anything about what our next episode is going to be? He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
What did he? Yeah. You're just agreeing, but you're not going to tell me what it is. Hold on a second. I got to go to the calendar.
Well, I was, but now I'm not.
Sure. Google Calendar coming into play. Maybe. Oh, come on. You can do it. What is the deal there? Okay. I'm sorry, Ronnie Adams.
Dude, I don't care. You know me.
I don't know why Google... Stupid thing. Well, anyway, next week, just go to your phone. Here we go. Just try and do it on the computer that's like 900 times faster than your phone, and guess what? The computer's slow as balls. Next week on the... What was it? This one's 21st, 28th. Well, we don't have anything to record, so I don't know if anything's going to drop on the 28th. We may not have anything. So, Ronnie, we may be digging into the one issue box again, and just doing.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm all right with that. We'll record that on a Saturday or Sunday or something like that. So, well, that'll be fun. Just kind of keep an eye out, ladies and gentlemen. We'll try to keep the content weekly here. If not, if we take a week off, don't you worry. That's all right. That's absolutely okay.
I do that a lot.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Ronnie Adams of the Screaming Boy Podcast. I am Jesse Starcher of the Source Material Podcast. We bid you adieu.
Adieu.
Adieu, and we say good night to you. Have a good one.